Grief doesn't knock. It doesn't call in advance. It shows up unannounced, sits in the center of your chest, and refuses to move. It makes even the strongest people feel helpless. But long before modern therapy, long before psychology gave us labels and treatment plans, there was a philosophy that stared loss straight in the face and didn't blink. That philosophy was Stoicism. It didn't offer hollow comfort or tell you to move on. It taught you to endure, to accept, and ultimately, to transform your pain into strength. Not by denying grief, but by understanding its place in life. The Stoics knew grief intimately. They didn't avoid death or sorrow, they trained for it. Marcus Aurelius lost 8 children. Seneca lost his father. Epictetus was enslaved and physically disabled. Yet in all their writings, one truth echoes: grief is not to be escaped, but to be lived through, endured with dignity, and used as a forge for inner resilience. Let's begin with the first principle of the Stoic way through grief: endure. To endure doesn't mean to suppress. Stoicism is often misunderstood as cold or emotionless, but that's not its message. The Stoics weren't made of stone. They wept. They hurt. They loved. But they believed that we must not let grief unravel us. Epictetus said, "When you are kissed by your child, say silently to yourself, 'Tomorrow, he may die.'" Not because he was heartless, but because he wanted to remember that every embrace might be the last. And if the moment came, he wouldn't be shattered, he'd be ready to endure the pain with clear eyes. Grief tests our endurance like nothing else. It removes the illusion that we're in control. It humbles us. And yet, this is where Stoicism shines. It teaches us to build an inner citadel, a place within where nothing outside, no loss, no chaos, can destroy our core. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. In grief, this quote becomes a lifeline. We cannot control death. We cannot undo what's been lost. But we can govern how we carry the weight. Enduring grief means letting the pain move through you without letting it consume you. You cry, but you don't curse life. You ache, but you don't collapse into despair. You honor the memory, not with endless mourning, but with courageous living. That is endurance. That is the first Stoic step. Next comes acceptance. Seneca reminds us, death is not an evil. What is terrible is the fear of death. When someone we love dies, or when we lose a part of our life that once defined us, a job, a home, a dream, our first instinct is to resist. We say, this shouldn't have happened. We cling to a version of life that no longer exists. But Stoicism urges us to do the hardest thing: accept reality, as it is, not as we wish it to be. To accept is not to approve. It's not to be indifferent. It's to align with the truth. The river of life flows in one direction, forward. And when grief strikes, Stoicism says, flow with it. Acceptance is not weakness. It is strength in its purest form. It's choosing to open your hands when everything inside you wants to clench your fists. The Stoics called this Amor, Fati, the love of fate. Imagine that. Not just resignation. Not just tolerance. But love. A radical embrace of what happens, because it is part of the natural order. When Marcus Aurelius lost his children, he didn't shake his fist at the heavens. He wrote, "Receive without pride, let go without attachment." He accepted loss not because it didn't hurt, but because he understood, death is nature's law, and no one escapes it. In your own grief, you are asked to do the same. Not right away. Not in denial. But eventually, to release your resistance. To stop asking why me, and instead say, why not me? Why should I, a human, be exempt from what every other human must face? And as you begin to accept, something incredible happens. The pain doesn't go away, but it changes. It softens. It becomes a teacher. Which leads us to the final Stoic step, transform. If you endure the storm and accept the truth, you emerge not the same person you were before. Grief, in the Stoic view, can be a kind of alchemy. It takes something unbearable and, through the fire of experience, forges something meaningful. Seneca wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Grief is that friction. It carves away what is trivial. It reveals what is real. You've seen people who were never the same after a loss, some broken, some wiser, some deeper. The Stoic path is to become wiser. To let grief open your eyes to what matters. To build character from the ruins. Not everyone does this. Some get stuck in sorrow, refusing to move. But the Stoic doesn't remain stuck. He transforms grief into a reason to live better. After loss, ask yourself, what have I learned about love? About time? About what I've taken for granted? What will I now do differently? Will I speak more gently? Will I value each moment more deeply? Will I finally become the person I was too afraid to be? Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself, do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good. This is the transformation Stoicism calls for, not a denial of death, but a deeper engagement with life. Not to run from pain, but to use it as fuel for virtue, clarity, and courage. In grief, the Stoic doesn't just survive. He grows. And yet, none of this means the process is easy. Far from it. Stoicism doesn't promise comfort. It promises clarity. It doesn't say you won't cry, it says you won't be ruled by crying. It doesn't say you won't miss them, it says you will miss them with dignity. The goal isn't to be numb. The goal is to be awake. If you're grieving right now, know this, you are walking a path walked by every great Stoic, every great human being. You are not alone in your sorrow. You are part of a lineage of those who have loved and lost, and chosen not bitterness, but growth. Hold your grief like a sacred stone. Heavy, yes, but also meaningful. You carry it because you loved. And the Stoics would say, what greater fortune is there than to have loved, even knowing you might lose? Seneca once wrote to his friend who lost a son, he was not snatched away, he went before. We must not bewail our misfortunes, but must ask what virtue we can show in them. Let your grief be a canvas for your virtue. Let it show your resilience, your patience, your depth. Let it be your teacher. Remember, to endure is not to suppress but to stay standing. To accept is not to surrender but to align with truth. And to transform is not to forget, but to live with renewed purpose. This is the Stoic way through grief. And it is not a path of denial, it is a path of profound love.